Hey, what is up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. So in today's video, going to be brutally transparent and show you how I lost 29 50K Apex evaluation accounts. Super crappy, and it sucks to have to make this video, but as always, I'm going to show you the highs and the lows of my journey and explain to you why today I hit max loss across all of my Apex evaluation accounts. So to start off, I have been primarily focused over the past 2+ weeks of getting my mental right. And the biggest thing from that was recognizing and managing my active thinking. So the way I'm going to lay it out to you is ABC. A is going to be my active thinking that I have with other thoughts that leads to the emotions and the feelings that I have, which then leads to C, the actions that I take based off of A and B. It's all interconnected. But the simple truth of this whole statement is that the root cause of my suffering, the suffering that I create, is simply from the thinking that I have in my brain. So to break it down, going into today's trading session in the morning, I had 4 to 5 hours of sleep when normally I have 7 to 8+ hours. So that in itself already impacts my performance. I also just got into my monthly cycle. The girls know out there, but that does impact like emotions and hormones and other things as well. So that's not an excuse as to say like I can't trade well today, but it's just to lay context as to why things started to spiral the way they did in the ABC statement. So now coming into the trading session, I start off with a few evals, don't do too hot, a few losing trades here, a few losing trades there, 1 or 2 blown here, totally chill. I don't feel any emotions from it. It's totally fine. Go into my funded accounts, trade those, a few losing trades here, a few winning trades here, across the board, majority green. So put those to the side. I, again, don't feel anything. So during that beginning portion of my trading session, I don't have any active thinking that's happening. I have no emotions that are starting to spiral, and I'm not acting on my emotions or the thoughts that I was having. I was just simply trading and taking everything as it was and moving forward. So now coming into my Apex accounts, this is where things started to spiral a bit. At this point, I go into my first 6 Apex evaluation accounts and I'm trading them. I'm doing fairly well. And when I get to the point of being about $200 to $300 short of the $3,000 profit target in order to pass the accounts, I'm starting to think about everything. This is where part A of that statement I said earlier is kicking in. I'm starting to actively think about the past, the present, and the future. More specifically, thinking about the present, where I'm thinking about the current trade that I'm in, waiting for that TP to hit. I'm thinking about why hasn't price moved fast enough to where it needs to be. I'm thinking, why does price have to retrace? Why can't I just go directly to TP so I can pass these accounts and move on to my next set? And then I'm thinking about the future. Once I do pass these accounts, getting them to pay out, I can use that money to scale further in my personal life or in other prop firms. I'm thinking about how I can use those payouts to pay expenses or my taxes, etc., etc. I'm thinking about everything, as you can tell by the way I'm talking about the session. And so all of that active thinking that I was having from the market cycle, from the price action, from the payouts, from the funded accounts, also about my funded accounts I already traded, I was already done with those, but I was thinking about how I should build the buffer more there. I was thinking about the consistency rule. Was I, respecting it by the end of day? Thinking about everything. And so that leads into part C of the statement, which is the emotions, the feelings. And this is where you can start to tackle in a bit more of the context I provided to you earlier from the sleep and the monthly cycle. My emotions were just scattered across the board. I felt everything, and because of the context I provided, it felt even more heightened. So with all of that active thinking I had, what was happening in the charts, everything else, I started to feel just bamboozled with impatience, with greed, with anger, and just this need to rush things. So the impatience clearly comes from TP not being hit and being able to pass the accounts already. The impatience came from not being able to trade the next set already until I passed the first one. The greed came from thinking about the funded accounts and maybe I should build a bigger buffer because there's a lot of opportunity in the charts right now. The greed is coming from wanting to make more money in the funded accounts or have a bigger payout. The greed is coming from thinking about the new funded accounts I have with Apex and the payouts that can come from it as well. And then the anger, and more so it's just the agitation, was coming from how price was not moving quick enough to where I needed it to go. So all of part B now leads to part C. It's all connected. Part C is when I start to just act out when I did not need to. When price barely misses my TP by like 10 points, right? Because I only need about $200 or so to pass the first 6 accounts. I start to just DCA into my position. Price is obviously and clearly going against me at this point. It's reversing. I start to DCA into it. A few times I got lucky where I DCA and I'm able to, get out at a pretty close break even with the intraday trailing drawdown against me. It's only about $500 against me. Totally chill, can easily make it back. Got lucky a few times where the account doesn't blow, right? I'm adding in at support, it's pushing back to resistance, it's not hitting TP, it comes back to support, that kind of thing. And so doing that one too many times, really testing my luck here, and eventually obviously running out of emotional bandwidth and mental bandwidth, just start to go in 3, 5, 7 contracts on the minis, by the way, and eventually it doesn't work out. So the first set of accounts, the first 6, don't make it to the $3,000 target. And at this point of my trading was when I should have clearly walked away. I should have just taken that first set of losses on the evals, save the other evals for another day, and just come back like the next day refreshed, or just take a step away from the screen and then come back the same day if I feel better, which is what I actually did later on in my session, and I actually traded fine. But I digress. That's what I should have done in that moment. But instead, I moved on and I rotated to my next set of accounts with Apex. And because I was already blinded by the thinking, by the emotions, and already acting out, you can already imagine how the rest of the accounts clearly were blown. So it sucks. Like I said, it's a crappy feeling to be in because I was so close to passing and I had like a majority of my session under control up until I was close to passing. And simply because I couldn't maintain my thoughts and just be neutral about everything is when things started to spiral more. It sucks. But I wanted to talk about what led to this max loss because I think it's important to understand that it's more than just the technicals, that it's a lot of the mental side of it too that has a big impact on the way that we clearly react and the way that we execute on the charts. The past 2+ weeks, almost 3 weeks of just really focusing on the thinking process, the ABC statement has truly helped, because even if I do have losing trades or blown accounts or hitting the daily loss limit of an account, or even when I do get some huge wins, by focusing on the ABC statement, by focusing and doing a strategy to focus on active thinking and reducing that, it's been a lot better in my sessions. When you sit in too much negativity and self-doubt for too long, which I've done in the past, it impacts me even more negatively than it should. So that's why I've taken it to the chin now and quickly moving on from it, obviously reflecting, but moving on from it is the best thing to do, and keep on putting my active thinking to the forefront. I hope that this video is helpful for you, just explaining the thought process and the whole shebang. But as always, I really thank you for your time and support. I wish you guys nothing but the best and the most success in all that you do, and I will see you all in the next video.